the children and the adults, everyone. I was awestruck by the way you were presenting all the things. I'm really thankful that we have some talented people here in our midst, young and old alike. So I'm also glad that Sammy has already introduced my prayer topics, and also the kids who were doing especially the last part, they have already made it possible for me to make it faster. And also another thing, I thank God that there is no clock, so the time is all mine. So don't, we are not allowed to look back either. Today, I just definitely need all of your prayers as I'm standing here, because I really wanted to share my heart out with you. Don't consider it as a preaching or as an instruction, nothing. This is the verse which God was talking to me during the fasting prayer meeting, and I actually shared the word when Pastor Baiju's house, one of the portion of that, because there was no other topic coming to me. I thought, my God, everybody knows this story so much. I didn't want to really kind of say anything from this portion, but God was insisting me to talk from this portion. So I'm going to just ask people who are younger than 20. Can you tell me who, only younger than 20 is allowed to answer? A slave who received a double portion of blessing on earth as well as in eternity. Anybody, can you name a slave who received a double portion of blessing on earth as well as in heaven? Okay, that's okay. We will find out who is that. As you see, we have a 17-year-old boy who was with a father, graduated high school. 17-year-old boy who graduated with his father loved him, so he gave him a nice coat. So now he is getting ready to go to a university. So he was the valedictorian. There was 12 students in the class, and he was the valedictorian. So he received a nice coat. Can you say that? Who is that person now? Thank God for that. Thank you. So I just wanted to quickly turn your attention to the verse Genesis chapter 37. If any of you can read that verse, 37 verse 3 and 4. If any of you can put it up also, the verses. I just wanted to quickly go. I don't want to take much time, even though I said there is no clock here. I don't want to make you guys bored.
Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. Also, he made him a tunic of many colors. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all the other brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him.
Okay, if you can read also verse 5.
Now Joseph had a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more.
That's it. Joseph, you can see that his brothers hated him. There are 3 reasons for that, for Joseph to be hated by his brothers. Number 1, his father loved him. Number 2, Joseph had a dream. And number 3, he was bold enough to testify that dream or share his vision with others. So I just want you guys to remember this. There are 3 reasons that his brothers hated him. Number 1 was that his father loved him. Number 2, that he had a dream. And number 3, that he was willing and he was also bold enough to share that dream and vision with other people. So that made him to have this, get all the hatredness from his brothers. Now, I just want you also to look at this one. How did Joseph respond to that? You can go home because you guys know the story very well. So I'm not going into so much details to make you guys read about that. Chapter 37, verse 13, it says,
And Israel said to Joseph, Are not your brothers feeding the flock in shame? Come, I will send you to them. So he said to him, Here I am.
So number 1, he says, he's obeying. He's willing to obey his father. So his response of all the hatred, what his brothers were doing, he said, "Here am I." In Malayalam it is written, he obeyed his father. A son who is loved by his father, and he was willing to obey him. He said, "Here am I. Send me. I am willing to go where? To carry the food to those brothers who hated him." So we should know that. To carry the food to those brothers who hated him. And number 3, he went out also to look after their welfare. So his response, he was hated by his brothers. 3 reasons. He had a dream. He was willing to share that boldly with others. And he was loved by his father. Now, how did he respond to the hatredness, all that what his brothers was talking to him? 1, he was willing to obey his father. And number 2, he was also willing to ask about the welfareness of his brothers who hated him, and also to carry the food for them, the same group of people. I just wanted to tell, if you can turn to verse 23, if you can, you are doing a good job, my dear Gitu. Keep going, 23, verse 23.
So it came to pass when Joseph had come to his brothers, that they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the tunic of many colors that was on him.
Yeah. So as I said, I just wanted, because many of you guys are going to college and schools, I just wanted to say this. Now Joseph passed the first test. He's graduated high school. He's 17. With a nice coat, with a graduation gown, he is going to see his brothers. So what is his brothers doing? They are stripping him of his many-colored coat, or it says ornate robe. They are stripping him of his identity, I would say. What is the identity? The dress gave him an identity that he was loved by his father. You see, when you guys go to college, to different college campuses, you should know that we are loved by a Father who is up in heaven. So when people, the next thing the enemy always wanted to do is strip off your identity, because you are loved by your Father. So enemy will always try to do that. They may succeed sometimes, but there is an inner man. We have an inner man which should grow stronger and stronger. Nobody can strip off your clothes for us, the inner man's clothes. People can do anything externally, but nobody can touch your inner man. So be bold enough. They stripped him off his clothes. That is what it says, the tunic, the many-colored coat which his father gave him. They were trying to steal his identity. See, when you guys go to college and schools, when you pass from middle school to high school, from high school to college to university level, devil will always try to steal your identity as a child of God. You are favored. You should realize that. You're favored, you are loved by your God, and you're very, very special. So devil is always jealous of that. So you should never let the inner man go weaker and weaker. And now, chapter 39, verse 1. If you can read that.
Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there.
Now you can see, Joseph is entering into a special university, a Harvard University. But it doesn't look like that, right? Joseph is entering into Harvard University, Yale or Princeton. But it is God's special university for him to be trained. Because to become a doctor, you can ask anybody, it takes 6 years. Joseph had a training for 13 years in God's special university to make him as the second in charge. So he had a 13 years of training, and that was a special university he was entering into. And you can see Joseph, the beloved son, I looked up some pictures for how the slaves are being carried. He has chains, he has shackles. Not only that, all the young children, listen to me. He also had a rope around his neck. When the beloved son, when the people who are the bystanders, when they are looking at him, they are thinking, what on earth this 17-year-old young boy probably did? He is sold as a slave. The people who are looking at him have labeled him as a slave. But inside, God was looking right into his heart and seeing that a young, well-built man, like you guys go to gym to have, your muscles developed. Joseph, each time when he took every step with that chain and with his shackles and the neck, the rope around his neck, every time when he is walking with the people who are traveling on the camel, his spiritual muscles were getting stronger and stronger. Each step he took, and God was pleased. Because this is a very strong training which he is taking. Because I don't know how many of you probably will know, the strong training with the Navy SEAL and Army Rangers they go through to make them as a strong soldier. And God has sent Joseph to a special university. It is very special. Not everybody, in his class graduated. His brothers failed just because they were jealous. Joseph was the only one, the single valedictorian from his class of 12 students. And he was the valedictorian. God sent him to a different university. But it doesn't appeal to be very appealing. Sometimes God does that in our lives too. Joseph is walking with that shackles. His muscles are getting stronger. Just like an Army SEAL or Navy SEAL or an Army Ranger. So he is walking. And he was sold as a slave. Now, you can see a label as a slave to the favored and to the beloved son. And God, but sometimes we all look at the outside of the people. We can see only that. But God has X-ray eyes. I also was looking at the X-ray pictures, of mine sometimes before. I can see some bones, just, I said, no, what is this? I have only 12 bones, on the chest X-ray, I saw only 12 bones. But when you guys look at me, I'm wearing all that, I'm good, right? But when God sees inside, he can see even our attitude with the X-ray eyes of God. God see even our attitude. The X-ray machine has not developed that much. God see even our attitude. So, when God is looking at Joseph, his attitude, everything he can see, he is well pleased. And you can see that verse 39 and verse 10. Can you read that also, ma'am?
So it was as she spoke to Joseph day by day, and he did not heed her, to lie with her or to be with her.
So in Malayalam, I like that Malayalam verse. Chapter 37, it says, Joseph fatherne anusarichu ennu. 39 verse 10 in Malayalam, if you read that, there is a verse, it says, Joseph avale anusarichilla. So whenever, you have to obey something, you obey that. You should know that she is the mistress and he is a slave. Not only he is a slave, he is a slave servant under their care. But even then, he showed the boldness that he is not going to obey her. So അങ്ങനെ മലയാളത്തിൽ എഴുതിയിരിക്കുന്നു, because I like that verse. അവളെ അനുസരിക്കാതിരുന്ന ആള്, ഫാദറിനെ അനുസരിച്ച ജോസഫ് അവളെ അനുസരിച്ചില്ല എന്ന് എഴുതിയിരിക്കുന്നു. So, he is passing that test too. So you would think he would get another nice robe, right? But God did not give him that. He gave him a robe which is very different than the worldly robe. You know what is that? It is the prison robe which he received for that. See again, when you look at Joseph with the prison robe, we will think what on earth this guy has done. But again, God is looking right into his heart and seeing he is growing and his spiritual muscles are growing stronger and stronger. And my son, I am going to make him something. So now it is almost 11 years past. Joseph has left his father's house, and now you know the story. The cupbearer and the butler, they are coming to Joseph, with their dream. Now the dreamer, God promoted to him to be a dream interpreter. That is what God did. So he made him with 11 years of training. Now the dreamer is becoming the dream interpreter for them. So that again, you would think immediately he will get a promotion. No, he is waiting for another 2 years. So at the due time, Joseph's graduation day is coming. He is almost 13 years in prison. His graduation day is getting closer. I want you guys to look at that verse. If you can read chapter 4, verse 41. It's 41 verse 41, sorry.
And the ugly and gaunt cows ate up the 7 fine-looking and fat cows. So Pharaoh awoke.
41 verse 41.
And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have set you over all the land of Egypt."
Mm-hmm.
Then Pharaoh took his signet ring off his hand and put it on Joseph's hand. And he clothed him in garments of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck.
That is right. This is a special valedictorian from God's university. And he is the single one. God decided that he is going to have a special kind of graduation ceremony now. You know, how many of you all have seen? You know, I attended Ashish's graduation, Vinny's graduation, and they just walk. Now here you see Joseph graduating with, you know, now the rope is removed. Now he is having a golden chain around his neck. And he has a signet ring. And now not only that, he is replaced with a fine linen. Fine linen garment. God is giving him a fine linen garment, a golden chain, and he is making people to go before him and telling him, bow down before him. So now the mistress also has to bow down before this same Joseph. Now Joseph is coming out as a victorious person, graduated with a I don't know how to say that. I just wanted to say this. God, sometimes we look at performance. We look at presentation, how well you present, how well you perform. But God's universities, his standard is always different. His is the outside versus inside. His is, we look at performance, but he says it is how dedicated you are, how wholehearted you are, how dedicated. What are we giving to give up for the Lord? So let's, as we are coming to the close of this one, I just wanted to tell all the children, young children especially, when you go from middle school to high school, you may come up with something, a higher level of temptations in your life. But remember, you are favored, you are loved, and you have a special name, God's beloved son and daughters. The enemy always wanted to steal your identity all the time. But make sure each time you may not get a golden or a nice garment as you think all the time. But each time when you go from place to place, you may face up with more and higher kind of temptation. But God is with you. And to all the parents, let me tell you, I calculated this. In a week, we have 168 hours. I checked. So if 8 hours, if your children are spending in the church activities, even then, they are with you for 95.23% of the time. So, parents nodu parayanullathu. ദൈവം നമ്മുടെ കയ്യിൽ നമുക്ക് വലിയ സൺഡേ സ്കൂൾ ക്ലാസ് ഒന്നും ദൈവം തന്നിട്ടില്ല. ചിലരുടെ വീട്ടിൽ 3 പേര് സ്പെഷ്യൽ ട്യൂട്ടർ, ചിലരുടെ വീട്ടിൽ 2 പേര്, ചിലവരുടെ വീട്ടിൽ 4 പേര്. പേരൻസ് ആയിരിക്കുന്ന നമുക്ക് 95% of the time നമ്മുടെ കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങളെ ദൈവം നമ്മുടെ കയ്യിലാണ് തന്നിരിക്കുന്നത്. We are the whole rest, ബാക്കി, even if I take out 168 hours in the 2 hours of churchന്റെ എടുത്താൽ it is 98% of the time. I congratulate and I wanted to say appreciation to all the Sunday school teachers. They are doing a good job. But even then, I just wanted to remind the parents this. 98% of the time, നമ്മുടെ കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങൾ നമ്മുടെ കൂടാണ്. സ്വർഗത്തിൽ ചെല്ലുമ്പം ഇതൊന്നും ചർച്ചയിൽ എങ്ങനെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു, സൺഡേ സ്കൂൾ ടീച്ചേഴ്സ് പഠിപ്പിച്ചോ, ഇതൊന്നും ആയിരിക്കത്തില്ല. God has given us 98% of our time with our children. And we are responsible. Rachel മരിച്ചു പോയിരുന്നു. യാക്കോബിന്റെ ആ ട്രെയിനിങ്ങിന്റെ കീഴിൽ ജോസഫിന് ഇത്രയും കാര്യങ്ങളിൽ മുൻപോട്ട് വരാൻ ഒക്കുമായിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ ദൈവം നമ്മളെ ഏൽപ്പിച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന കൊച്ചു ക്ലാസ്, 2 students ഉള്ള ക്ലാസ്, so that you will give very personal attention to them. It is not a big classes like Jacob's class, 12 students. No, it was not even that. I don't think anybody has that many students in your class. So we are 2, and the fathers have a high place in that. I just wanted to encourage all the fathers, because children, you know that character is, you cannot teach them that. Character is caught. So whatever we do, they are going to see how it is going to be. So as a church, I encourage all of us together, let us work for the benefit of eternity purpose, because this place will move away. What we see, we will not see tomorrow. We may not see anything. The cars, the house, the place where we live. This land has been here for so many years. We will come and the next generation will come, somebody else will come. Whatever we see, we will not see it for a long time. Our eternity is very important for us, and our generation's eternity is very important for us. And our Lord's coming, as the skit was saying, our Lord's coming is so close. So it is very, very important for all of us to be very aware of that. So I encourage all of you, and I pray, and it is my sincere prayer from my heart. I just wanted to say that all of us will, with our children, we will see in heaven, and we will be there forever and ever. And may God bless.